When should you start charging for paid coaching? I think that's a great question. I think the earlier the better is kind of my overall advice. It's good to get paid for coaching for a couple of reasons. One is that when you want to communicate the value of coaching, so when you start thinking about getting paid, I think we think, what's my value? How much am I worth? What should I get paid for showing up? What's a good hourly rate? But that's not even the way to think about coaching. The value isn't just that you're showing up. The value is that coaching is valuable. Coaching works, and it works well to get outcomes that the client is thinking about. So that's one way to think about it too, is that I'm not charging for my time. I'm charging for the outcome because coaching has great value. Here's a second reason to think about when you're like, when should I start coaching? When you want your client to make a greater commitment to the coaching. I've given away some free coaching, and I'll never, maybe rarely, never do it again because the client doesn't take it seriously. The value of the coaching is zero, and that's the way they show up. They don't show up prepared. They don't feel compelled to get their money's worth. There's no commitment from the client. I remember hearing a story about a consultant in this case who he would consult with different organizations, and they wouldn't take his advice, and it didn't work, and nothing was happening because of his consultation. He was thinking about quitting, but he asked a more experienced consultant, and the consultant said, here's the problem. You need to raise your price. He's like, raise my price? I'm not having any success now. How should I charge more for less, for no success? He said, if you charge more, they'll take your advice. They can't stand to pay that amount of money and not do something with it or for it. It's the same with coaching. The more you charge, the better people show up. It's strange, but true. Here's the third thing that might compel you to start charging. And this was something for me in particular, is I wanted it to be sustainable. I wanted to coach for a living. And if I didn't charge and charge a decent amount, I couldn't do it very long. I would kind of do it part-time or as favors. It would be frustrating. It just wouldn't work. And so I even felt like I'm going to go out on a limb here. I felt like God told me, you need to be sustainable. So I started charging a professional rate, and that was painful. That's probably another video to talk about. But when should you start charging for coaching? I think very early in your training, maybe as early as possible, you should start charging for your coaching. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any of our great content.